Blog Talk Radio.
We welcome the night. Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, Ian. Are you there?
I hope so.
Well, I know last night we had technical difficulties on that are unforeseen circumstances I don't want to bring up, but it was just difficult to do our show last night, so we pushed it back, and here we are. And looking forward to this one because this one's big news in the world of horror because it's one of those when the idea popped up, like that's going to be a horror movie, and it made circles. It's still making circles. But yeah, we are going to be reviewing Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. This was supposed to come out again last year, but again, it was so big they pushed it back, and finally it's coming out. And, Ian, are you ready for this one?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
so.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I'm just going to say this up front. There's going to be probably a lot of discussions, comparatively, with the mean one. But we'll get into that a little bit later when we go back and forth. So, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, we have our backstory where we're introduced to Christopher Robin, who, again, went through the 100 Acre Wood, found Winnie the Pooh, found all, the woodland critters, the owl, rabbit, piglet, Eeyore. Of course, they don't say that up front, just Winnie the Pooh. And, of course, in the backstory lore, Christopher Robin leaves, and that causes Winnie the Pooh and all the friends to kind of, in a sense, go crazy and go mad because their friend left them. And that causes them to, in a sense, turn feral without giving too much away. And so they kind of turn bad. Things go bad. And then, not too long after that, we're introduced to adult Christopher Robin and his soon-to-be wife, I believe it was Mary, and Christopher decides, you know what, I'm going to show you Winnie the Pooh, or where I went to for the 100 Acre Wood, and show you all my friends. And that's when he notices something happened while he was away, and he's introduced to Bebop, Piglet, and Crazy Winnie the Pooh. And again, minor spoilers at the beginning of the film, they kill his wife, and then they keep him hostage. And then we're introduced to another character that has, again, it's two central plots that basically converge towards the end of the movie. And her character is Alice, and she is in therapy, and the therapist says, you need to get away. You need to do something fun. You need to go away, do something, because she is suffering from, basically she had a home invasion with an intruder that basically looked at her while she was asleep. It was a crazy person. And so her and some friends decide to go to this house near the woods, and luckily the house is right there beside the 100 Acre Wood. And so, again, all their paths basically converge as the film progresses, because her friends are soon attacked by Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. And that's the gist of the movie without getting too spoiler heavy. I'm sure we'll do that a little bit later. But we're here to talk about, again, a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. And I'll just say this. Again, this is where the talk of the mean one comes in. They do more lore and backstory and more in-depth character development with Winnie the Pooh and with Piglet than they did with the Grinch and the mean one. The look of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, again, it can be a lot to desire. A lot to be desired, but I think they do a well enough job, because when they introduce Winnie the Pooh and Piglet and what the 100 Acre Wood looks like, they had like a good sense of, direction, in my opinion, because it is like whenever they were on screen, there was a presence to it, whereas, again, the mean one and the Grinch, that was just, it felt like the mean one was just like cheap and just like get it out of the, push it out the door, very, just an overall mediocre, cheap and easy movie to make for a cheap dollar. With Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, I felt it was the opposite, where like they actually tried to make this work. Yeah, it's far-fetched, but they literally tried to make it a horror movie that actually worked. It was dark for no reason, and I mean that like in a literal sense. It was like just like a dark movie. And you didn't, like, why Winnie the Pooh is like super dark is beyond me, but it kind of works for what they were trying to go with it, because it's like a loss, you're losing a friend, and that just makes you go crazy. And Winnie the Pooh is like this like killing machine, and it's just like, it's nuts, and it just kind of worked, in my opinion. I mean, is the movie all that good? It's okay. But it's just like what they're going with, because it is a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, and it worked in like the best sense possible. I mean, there's issues with it because it just kind of turns into a normal slasher movie. But like again, the issues that we had with the mean one, where they didn't utilize the kills with the Grinch and give it all this over the top gore, they do that in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. There's like over the top gore, like heads getting crushed in, and just like, again, the way the look of Piglet, and he's like with the chain wrapped around him, and he's carrying a sledgehammer, and he has a slight limp that makes him drag his foot, and just like the menacing look and nature of the Winnie the Pooh himself. I mean, yeah, the mask is kind of like iffy, but like it works. And it's so fucking crazy even that this actually kind of worked. Like again, I didn't like the sub characters of like Annie and her friends. Like it's like whatever. Yeah, but like there's the scenes in there that it just like stand out. Like when Piglet's chasing her down in the pool, and like that looked amazing. And like the 100 Acre Wood, when it's like the chains and all the like how it looked is like a sort of like a dark fairy tale, and like that looked good, and like the lore behind that. And so, like, everything technically for the film as being a weird, far-fetched idea and a slasher movie, there were some dark moments in there. And it kind of worked. Like, the chains dangling, and, like, just like, again, like, I didn't bring this up earlier, but, like, they took a vow of silence, Winnie the Pooh and all the friends, after Christopher Robin left. So they're going around menacing around because of him leaving. And so, again, like, throughout the film, like, there's parts where, like, they're attacking and torturing Christopher Robin. And, like, he's trying, like, what's going on? This isn't like you. This isn't your nature and everything like that. And so, like, and it's just like, again, the way they look, and there's parts of it too, because like they utilize the honey, and just the way, like, again, Pooh eats the honey and rubs it over his face. Honestly, it looks cool. I mean, they gave it like more character depth because like he's like this down bear, you know, and they kind of make use of it, like saying like it was like a half breed in a sense. But again, like I dug the film for what I was trying to do. It's not the greatest, but again, in comparative nature with like The Grinch and the Mean One, because again, it goes side by side because of how that film turned out. Whereas like this is a horror movie, and so this is the same thing. And like everything that we kind of had issues with the Mean One was utilized and worked better with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and it's crazy. And again, is it a good movie? No, but it's actually not too bad. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is going to be terrible."
I'd watch it again.
Actually, not. I mean, the Mean One was terrible and mediocre. Yeah. But this one, there's a lot of stuff to it that actually kind of works in its favor, and you wouldn't think that upon first initial idea. You know, when you first look at it and look at, you know, in the nature, like, "Oh my God, that's crazy. That's going to be a thing," and it worked, and it just like, again, they made it like super dark. And everything that it revolves around, like, again, it's overly gory. You know, it's not like super gore like that, but it's like it utilizes the gore better than something that like the Mean One didn't. And it just like there's like faces getting like ripped off and like heads and, you know, getting crushed and like arms ripped off. There's like all kinds of like just like over the top kills that just like. And again, like when Pooh goes kung fu at the end with when he raises his hand up and just like fucking slices down on people. I mean, it's like fucking nuts. And like there's a scene in the the lair where they torture and capture people, and like there's a scene where like a knife and a mouth is involved, and that's like they show that pretty close up. I was like, wow, they're not really shying away from anything here. Yeah. And it's just like it's actually pretty cool, you know. It's just like, again, there's like some set pieces in this. Yeah, the eyeball pop out, and like again, it's just like there's set pieces that looked great, and like they actually took the time to make this actually somewhat decent. But Ian, I'll let you talk, and then we'll go back and forth.
Yeah, no, like, you know, I felt like the Mean One was just trying to capitalize off of Blood and Honey. But, you know, it's just because that movie just felt so, like, thrown together and rushed that it just, that's all I can think of that it is. I was expecting this movie to be exactly like The Mean One. Like, you know, just no plot, nothing. Like, because I was sitting there, I was like, how are you going to do this? But, you know, they established the backstory very early on. You know, they made it really work for what they were trying to do. And it was interesting to see how this all played out. Now, there was a couple of scenes I thought kind of just dragged on a little too long, and it was mostly the hot tub. It's like, we get it, she has big boobs, and she's hot, but, like, you know, I felt like they dragged that on a little longer than it needed to be, but not to the point where I was, like, super annoyed by it. So,
yeah, it was just technical slasher movie tropes. That's the only downfall, is like they just played out a little bit with the slasher vibes. And again, it is a slasher movie, and it just like, for a normal film, yeah, that's technical, but this is Winnie the Pooh, and it just felt kind of out of place, in my opinion. I mean, like, again, they had some good scenes. I like the scenes, and, you know, the pool scene especially, with the piglet chasing the girl in the pool and the sledgehammer and what goes up, because that looked that was like a great scene. That was almost like the pool scene in The Strangers Pray at Night, where it was a great scene. You know, the rest of the movie not so much, but like this one, like, again, it's just like that slasher movie tropes, which kind of is like the main downfall. Like, I needed more Pooh and Piglet and Christopher Robin. I think we're going to get that because, again, there's a sequel in the works. So
There's also a Bambi movie and a Peter Pan movie in the works too.
He is going to be the person who directed this one is going to be doing the Peter Pan movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious about the Bambi movie. We've seen Killer Deer movie, so like I'm curious about that. Is it going to be another were-deer? Oh god, that's just going to be fun. I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what he does next.
Yeah, but this one, like I said, Ian brought up, like, again, just like it does drag in a few parts, but again, as I mentioned, it just has that slasher movie vibe trope where it's just like you have to have the girls in peril, run around, do this, do that. Oh my God, they're chasing us. You know, there's all kinds of that. And, of course, you know, a little bit here, scantily clad women and, you know, your various girl tropes in slasher films, you know. It was like the one thing, like I said earlier, just like the one thing that, like, hey, you could have worked on that a little better. But, again, I'm not going to hold that too bad against it because I know what they're trying to do.
Exactly, yeah. If that's our complaint.
If it feels like they should have done something else besides making it slasher tropes with all the girls, like, yeah. But everything else I did enjoy to some extent. I like the lore. I like the backstory. I can live with the way Pooh and Piglet looks, even though their masks, it again, left a lot to be desired a little bit. But, again, there's, like, great scenes in there where it's just like, you know, when Pooh's having the honey on his face and it's dripping down, part of it looks like he's crying at one point.
Gross.
Yeah. And, again, the kills were good, you know, or done better than you would expect the kills to be. And they're gory, and they're not. It just felt like there was a little bit of heart put into it. Like, yeah, we're gonna make this something worthwhile, as opposed to what Ian said with the mean one being a cash grab, and just like throwing it out there with no care to the world, not even trying. And that's how we thought about it when we watched it too. When like everything, and it was just a mediocre film that didn't even try anything with, you know, and. They just like didn't even do anything with the kills and all that fun stuff like you would think they do with the Grinch, and the story didn't even make half sense in that one either. Like, oh, we're going to make a freaking hiking resort and people are going to come and get killed by the Grinch. Okay, reasons. You know, it's just like it didn't make sense to the story of what the Grinch or the mean one should have been. Whereas this one, it worked within the realm of the Winnie the Pooh franchise and the 100 Acre Wood. Even though the beginning of the story, when they all took the vow of silence and decided to go feral to eat Piglet, but yet Piglet is one of the main characters in the film chasing people. That was a little suspect, but I what you know, it's like, so they eat Piglet, but then he's there, so it doesn't make sense. But whatever, I guess maybe that was before or after the film. I have no idea that they just because it was animated segment at the beginning. And again, that's something else. We did animated segments as well, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have too many issues with the film. I mean, as we already discussed, and again, there were some standout moments in the look of it and how it went darker than it needed to be for the film, and everything else in between. You know, it's just like it kind of, you know, as we mentioned before, it kind of worked. And I am interested in seeing where it goes because it's probably going to be a battle in the next one with Pooh and Robin, you know, Christopher Robin. Again, especially the last scene too is like pretty dark with Pooh just like doing what he did. Just like Jesus Christ, Pooh. Just seeing that,
right.
Was like, all right, I'm ready. Because they don't shy away from any. That's the thing. Like they didn't shy away from it. It's like, no, we're doing this, and like,
yeah, not much happens off camera, and they did a good job at building up suspense. They made Pooh creepy as hell. Mm-hmm. Piglet, you know, I kind of wish the others were in it.
Yeah, I do. Maybe they can do some kind of seance in the next one and he makes them rise from the dead. I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, maybe that's the reason why they have the blood and the hunt. You know, they're doing stuff. You know, it's not. They're already in this realm of everything being far fetched. Might as well bring them back as like mutant creature zombies.
Kind of sad that Tigger wasn't in it. That would have been fun. And like bouncing everywhere and like jumping on people.
That
like
would be
coming
a little
out of trees.
Yeah, I don't know if we should have had that. I mean, I'm all right with thinking in it. I'm just like, the opening is just like what gets me is like, and they decided to eat Piglet, and like then Piglet's alive. Like I would have been okay if like they ate another one. Like who gives a rat's ass about Owl? You know.
I'm pretty sure I thought they ate Eeyore.
I don't know. I mean, they
Eeyore
had
rest
in peace. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like I don't know. Maybe I missed that. Maybe they did because I remember. I mean, I seen the thing for it. It said Eeyore R.I.P. But I thought they ate Piglet because that's when they were.
Yeah, cause in the animation they had a skeleton horse-looking thing in the animation part, and they were like lit something on fire.
Maybe I misconstrued that. Well, see, because they were gathering around Piglet in the beginning. Yeah.
I had to turn my speakers pretty high up to be able to hear what they were talking about. The audio corrected itself later on, but I was just like, I am not getting half of this.
Yeah.
Had to
maybe
rewind a couple
we're wrong.
parts.
maybe they did eat Eeyore because I remember seeing the thing where it said Eeyore R.I.P. But again, I thought with the animated at the front they were consuming Piglet because they gathered around him when they were wanting to eat off one of them. But again, that's superfluous to everything, honestly, because it's the rest of the movie that's like, you know, what's what we're talking about here. But yeah, like again, I didn't really mind it. I mean, it went along at a fairly decent pace, and like, wow, this is going, you know, because it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, you know. Whereas like the mean one was just like a slog almost to get through, and this one is just like, all right, you know, they keep up a good pace. They're introducing, you know, Christopher Robin along the way, and then when he gets loose and escapes, but the girls find him, and they go on through the woods, and they are getting attacked again, and then they introduce a few other side characters. So yeah, I mean, there's some good moments in the film. I mean, as a slasher movie, there's some pretty solid moments, and that's one thing I'm going to take away from this one. It's like they actually did something with the property instead of making it a cash grab. Yeah, it's still a cash grab, but at least they fucking made something interesting out of it. And you're actually not like, well, that wasn't shit. You know, it's like it has its issues, and it's very minor issues. I mean, again, the face, the mask itself is like, it's a little suspect. You know, they could have done a little better with that because it does look kind of cheap and flimsy at points. But I didn't hark back on that. It's like, oh, the mask. Like we've seen some pretty shitty masks over the years in this reviewing stage. So this one wasn't too bad in perspective. And again, the gore was good and the kills were decent. And like it was, again, as I said before, just like it goes a dark route. And I thought it worked for what they were trying to build. And again, if they keep keep that going with the sequel, and like this unstoppable Winnie the Pooh, apparently, who can't fucking die. You know, he turns into Jason there towards the end. I'm interested. You know, it's like we're gonna have it'll be like Tommy Jarvis and Jason Voorhees in like Friday 4, 7. You know, Friday 7, where he's going after him. Jason lives. So I'll be interested in see where it goes. In the world that they're building, because apparently, you know, again, it's going to be Christopher and Winnie the Pooh having a fucking bout at the end of this thing, and it'll be pretty cool to see where that goes, and just like again, more if they keep like more over the top stuff, because I want to see Winnie the Pooh eat someone's face off.
Yeah, that's
you know, he's a bear for
bikers,
or
truckers, whatever. And they just beat the hell out of him, and then he just killed them all.
I think that was like that was a nod, I think, to Halloween Kills, because like they did that in Halloween Kills, where like all the townsfolk circle around Michael Myers and beat him down, and then he comes back and kills them all. That's technically what Winnie the Pooh does in this. So it's kind of making a joke or a mockery of Halloween Kills in that scene.
Yeah, no, that's like, I was getting like major Michael Myers vibes from Pooh. You know, and you know, it's like it really did. This movie did work quite well with what they wanted to do with it, and it's like I'm just glad that they put effort into this. When I told my wife what I was going to be watching, she's like, "How do you not smoke weed? Like, how do you get through these movies without like wanting to just be out there?" Because she's seen glimpses of some of the movies we've watched. She knows that we don't get many hits. But like, and I'm glad that this one did. And I was honestly, when I first found out about it, I was like, I need to see this garbage movie. Like, I don't care if I have to go see it at theaters. I will pay full price for a movie ticket to see this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, but I was thinking that this movie was going to be 1,000 times worse than what it was. So, like, I'm actually in, like, a pretty upbeat mood now, because I was like, you know what, this was actually not bad. I don't hate myself for watching this.
No,
I wasn't bored throughout it.
Yeah, a few minor qualms here and there, but it's not technically it's not that good, but technically it's not bad. And it's actually better than you would expect. So again, this is like one of those where it's just like the reward is actually a little bit greater than you would expect, because they actually do something with the property, and it actually works in its favor. Because like, you know what, we're going to turn this super serious and super dark, and it's like, okay, and then like it's like, wow, it actually worked in its favor. You know, it's not something mediocre and thrown together and hoping for like a laugh like the mean one, you know, because it was just like, that one was just like, oh god, the mean one was just a wet fart, that one was. But this one wasn't too bad. So I'm kind of glad, because again, it's just, again, it has minor pacing issues here and there, and again, it follows slasher tropes a little too directly, where it's just like too like, come on, get on with it. You know, you'd rather have more Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh interactions. But again, you have to set up the world first, and then you get into the crazy stuff. And hopefully, with the sequel, they do a little, you know, they'll have more in depth, you know, with Christopher Robin and Pooh, because like their interactions are kind of short. I mean, at the beginning, a couple instances in the middle, and then the finale. So, you know, again, it equals out to what happens, hopefully what will happen in the sequel. And I'm interested in seeing where that goes.
Yeah, me too.
Because if they can keep it up with this, you know, and not, if he doesn't go too over, well, honestly, I kind of want him to go a little bit over the top with it. But again, hopefully he knows what he's doing. Because again, like he actually meant, you know, like we say that, you know, like hopefully he knows what he's doing. Well, he technically kind of does, because the film didn't turn out too bad. So hopefully he can keep that going through into the sequel.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, a lot of people, it's getting actually fairly well received. I mean, it's been in theaters for a few days. I know like 2 theaters by my house has the movie. And I didn't know that until like a little later today, and I was like, well, damn it. If I would have known that, I would have just went to the movies and saw this. And I was like, dang, you know, opportunities missed. But, you know, like, I probably would watch this movie again just because of, like,
that's the thing.
Yeah. And there is some rewatch value to it, plus, like, with other people. Not a movie I would put on, like, heavy rotation, but this definitely is like, I'll revisit this in maybe a year or so.
Yeah. Because it's just the dark nature, and, like, again, some of those kill scenes were actually well thought out and planned. because again, the scene with Piglet in the pool and the sledgehammer chasing the girl, that was great. That was just like a great scene in general. And then just that was like, wow, this is actually, there's some thought put into this and actually some dedication to make this stand out. And of course, the scene with Pooh and the knife and the girl's face, and that was good. And again, the gore for what they're trying to do, and
Piglet running that girl's head over.
Yeah.
That was kind of.
It's just like methodical too. Like he comes in there and like Pooh's driving a car. You know, it's like how does Pooh know how to drive a car? But he didn't go fast, so it's just like he was just in the driver's seat, and just like I'm gonna barely, elderly person drive over this.
And that was just so. That was I think that was one of my biggest problems with this movie, was that like they just kidnapped this woman, knocked her out, drug her, tied her up, and then put her on the ground. They had a sledgehammer. They were going to crush her head, but they decided to use a car. And I was just like, I was like, okay, this is a little over the top, and it just seems like you're just trying to use this woman as much as you can before you kill her off. And I was like, I get it. She's hot. Like it's, but I was like, I don't need and I even looked at it because it did seem like it was dragging on a little bit. And I went back and just to see how long that scene was, and it was about 10 minutes between because we got her in her room, just dancing and taking photos and shit, and then she got in the hot tub a little bit later, and I was just like, this is just. You're just showing this woman in a bikini for over 10 minutes. I was like, we get it. Please, let's just kind of continue it. And that was the only part. But it wasn't I wasn't annoyed by it to the point where I was wanted to bash my brains out. But I was just like, I know what you're trying to do, and I get it. But you've already made your point. Yeah. The suspense is already, you're building up too much suspense to the point where the payoff it doesn't have as much of an impact. You're just building up way too much suspense. And I was like, okay, let's just get this, let's move on to the next scene, please. But
yeah, I mean, again, minor imperfections here and there, but again, what can you do with a fucking Winnie the Pooh horror movie? And they're trying, and they tried, and again, it worked out. I think it did decent enough where it's not this is the worst piece of shit ever. This is this is a solid 6. Man, they actually tried. It's not. It doesn't reach that 7, but it has some good standout moments and the gore and the kills and everything, and.
I totally
it's
agree.
Not, again, it has the minor qualms here and there with the pacing issues and just the normal slasher tropes, as we mentioned numerous times already. But if we're nitpicking, of course we're going to nitpick. But as a film, I mean, it does decent for what it's trying to accomplish. And again, it's far-fetched, but it works for what it's trying to achieve. And if we keep it up, I've already mentioned it before. I'm interested in see where it goes with the sequel, and the unstoppable force of Winnie the Pooh and his kung fu grip, because he's just flashing down on those people. He cut that guy's arm right off. It's like, Jesus, Pooh. But yeah,
smacked his face. That one guy's face off.
Yeah, his eye was poking out help me. But nonetheless, I think we dissected Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey as much as we could. We got some spoilers in there a little bit, but not too bad where you don't know what you're going to expect, because we didn't give away everything. We just told you about the scene, so we didn't give everything away. So, Ian, I think that does it for this episode, and here's the thing. Our next episode is episode 300, Ian, so we got to plan something special for our 300th episode. So I'm thinking we do, I got some ideas, so I'm going to toss them back and forth.
It only took us 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Well, things get in the way. We could have done it sooner, of course, but,
life. Oh, God. that one year
We'd
where
probably be at
like
500.
literally nothing happened for almost an
Mm-hmm.
entire year, and we were just doing like one show a month or every other month. That was a rough year.
Yeah, that was rough. But I'm looking forward to what we come up with for episode 300, and I'm hoping everyone else will be waiting for what we do, because again, I got some ideas, and there's one idea I've been stewing on for a while, so we'll discuss that off air, and I'm looking forward to what's next for the upcoming year, and hopefully everyone else will be excited for whatever comes across our way, and we review for another year of shows. So this is, again, it's a weird start, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. But we did it, and we think, Ian, as always, you take care of yourself and your family, and it's always great talking with you. Everything we do is always fun, and either way. So thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time for episode 300 of Horror Night Oasis.
Good night.